CEO Peter Moya and the company. BMF says it's worried by some of the factual findings which have been made by the court, and says that it indicates that Old Mutual completely flouted corporate governance and labor law. For more on this story, we're joined by Mzo Tsaga. He's non-practicing attorney of the High Court of South Africa. Thank you so much for your time tonight, Mzo. As the BMF, you seem to believe that what we're witnessing unfold between Mr. Moya and Old Mutual is a smokescreen for deeper issues there. Any idea of what those issues may be?
Good evening, Kathy. Our main issue as BMF is what we consider to be a flouting of corporate governance principles. And we take this from the judgment of the court that where we see that there were issues that were raised by Mr. Moya to the board, and the board seems to have ignored those issues relating to the conflict of interest by the board chairperson, as well as how we see the issue of Mr. Moya being pursued in a matter where actually it appears that if there was an issue, it was an issue that should have been dealt with by the management at his other company, the NMT, and not him personally. So we don't understand how then he is the one who's being pursued on this, when in fact the Old Mutual representative in the MNT board seems to have agreed with what Mr. Moya did.
Of course, you've long positioned...
So in our view, it doesn't look like this is just... Sorry, Kathy.
Sure, apologies for that. We seem to have a slight delay on the line. I was saying that as an organization, you've long positioned yourself as being a representative of especially black professionals. So as far as that is concerned, are you going to be extending any kind of support to Peter Moya during this time?
Most certainly, as BMF, we always look for ways to support our black leaders, especially those in corporate, and who we feel that they are being treated unfairly by the corporate. So we are certainly going to assist in that regard, and I'm part of the committee that looks at the litigation issues surrounding our members and those who we believe are friends of BMF.
So as far as that is concerned then, does that mean that you would support the call, or rather the decision by the board to have Mr. Moya reinstated immediately, which of course Old Mutual is fighting?
We would certainly support that, and that it seems to us, at least certainly on the information that we have, it doesn't look like there is a legitimate reason why Mr. Moya shouldn't be back in office. And we say that mindful of the fact that Old Mutual has obviously taken the matter on appeal from what we read on the newspapers. But the issues that have been taken on appeal by Old Mutual is not the issues that the BMF is concerned about. BMF is concerned about the corporate governance issues. And according to the High Court judgment, the issue that would have been taken on appeal is the question of whether Old Mutual was right in relying on one clause of the employment contract or the other, an issue that we as BMF cannot obviously participate in. Our main issue is the issues of corporate governance, and we are seriously concerned about how Old Mutual appears to be handling those issues.
I mean, outside of the court process, which Old Mutual will then be going through with Peter Moya, is there another way that corporates can be held more accountable, especially then, as you're saying, when it comes to issues of corporate governance? Do you think that there's a better role that could be played there?
I think civil society and organizations like us need to play a much more prominent role in holding these companies accountable for the decisions that they make, because invariably it's the money that you and me invest in these companies that gets used in things like this current litigation that Old Mutual is involved in. So organizations like BMF need to stand up and defend corporate governance, because it's only when we have those issues resolved that I think this country can go forward.
When it comes to also, again, issues of corporate governance, it's not just in the private sector, and in the case of Old Mutual, as you're raising it, where it's been cited, there's also, I think this week, we've had numerous statements, including from Union COSATU, on the appointment of Jabu Mabuza as the Group CEO of Escom. I wonder what BMF's take then is on that particular decision by the Public Enterprises Minister.
Like with any other matter, I mean, BMF will take a view, and at this stage, we haven't issued any statement with regard to the issue of Mr. Mabuza. And I think that's partly because from what we understand on the announcement, the appointment of Mr. Mabuza is a temporal appointment. So and there's already a process in place to appoint a more permanent CEO. We would be seriously concerned if this was a permanent appointment, because we don't think it's ideal that you have the CEO acting as well as the chairperson. So from a long-term point of view, we would seriously oppose it. But I mean, in this particular case, it's been made to be a temporal appointment, and from what we understand, there should be a CEO in place in the next 2 or 3 months.
All right, we'll leave it there then for tonight. That was, of course, the representative of the BMF, Mzo Tsaka. He's also a non-practicing attorney with the High Court of South Africa, giving us the BMF's view on those particular issues tonight. Thank you for your time.